The bank of dad just collapsed. It just failed. Unfortunately, all your money is gone. And she looks at me and she goes, that's okay, Dad. I took out insurance with mommy. And I was like,
no, she didn't.
Yes, swear to God. And I was
There's no way.
Yes. I go, man, I've never had a prouder moment in my life.
Oh, I love
the
it.
whole concept of the insurance and interest rates and understanding that. At 9, she got it. And she made that joke.
She nailed it right away?
Nailed it right away.
Oh,
she knew what was going on. I said, you know what? You want to go work for labor and make money? Trade your time for money? Or do you want to make money and then use your money to make more money? Treading water is the same as drowning to people like you and me. You better start swimming. Welcome to I'm the One podcast. I'm your host, Rob Green.
What do you love about being a dad? I know you have 2 girls.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
You know, it's funny. I talked to a buddy of mine this weekend. He was in town and we were talking about this. You know, he's like, did you always know that you wanted to have a family and get married and have kids? And I did. Even when I was young, I knew I wanted to get married and have kids. I was like, for sure.
You knew or you thought?
Knew.
Okay.
For sure. No doubt about it. I just looked at, I was pretty young, I think, when I was thinking about this. And especially when I started dating and became an adult, it's like, if I look back at my life, I'm laying on my deathbed and don't have kids, I feel like I would have missed out on something for me. That was just my personal perspective on it. So I knew that I didn't want, get older, late 20s, early 30s. I didn't want to be with someone that necessarily didn't want to have kids, right? Or it wasn't even maybe unsure about having kids. It was something that was a must for me. It was a deal breaker.
How old were you when you got married?
I should know that off the top of my head. 32, actually. Okay. 32.
All right. I like that age.
Yeah, it's a good age.
Yeah.
No man should get married before he's 30 because he doesn't know what the hell he wants to do with his life.
I'm still going, unfortunately. I'm like, wait a minute, did I miss it?
Yeah, I think guys I don't know. These guys are a lot smarter, a lot more mature than I am, and they're getting married before 30. But got married at 32, had our first daughter when I was 33, and then 35, I think, for the second daughter. But yeah, having kids, fortunate and grateful to have 2 daughters. I think it just gave me a totally different perspective on life. But the number one thing is I love to coach and teach and share with them and be a part of their lives and do everything with them as much as we can. We spend the whole summer together. We travel, get out of Arizona in the summer, which we love doing. And I love teaching them and just seeing their enthusiasm. They're amazing. Now, with that being said, sometimes they don't think dad knows that much. They don't want to hear everything dad has to say, but a lot of times they listen really, really well, and then they adopt it and they get that feedback loop of, hey, I listened, I tried it, it worked. Oh, maybe I should try that again and do it again. And
then that gives you more credibility.
Yeah, we just build credibility over time, right? And so, they know there's certain aspects of what they should ask dad about or what they should ask mom about.
Is there you probably have different concepts and different things that you do with them, but is there one that stands out that you're like, this is teaching them some good stuff?
Yeah, I went to school for finance and then got an MBA after that. And I tend to be financially minded and rational and logical. And I can't remember who, but somebody referred me to a book maybe 5-6 years ago called How an Economy Grows and How It Crashes. I think it's Peter Schiff that wrote it. We'll put it in the show notes. I'll link to it on Amazon. But it's really simple book. It's a complex topic with a simple narrative. And it starts with 3 guys on an island and they each catch 1 fish a day. So they catch just enough to survive and feed themselves. And then it grows. And by the end of the book, you've got this multi-island economy with trading and war and it's just interest rates. And it's a full-blown economy that grows through cartoons. So it takes really complex concepts.
It starts with 3 guys?
3 dudes on 1 island, each catches 1 fish.
Okay.
So it takes the world's simplest economy.
Yeah.
I survive.
Okay.
And there's no trade.
Gotcha.
I go catch 1 fish. I eat 1 fish a day. I survive on my own. Do I take this day off and maybe go make a fishing rod? And now could I catch 2 a day? And so they look at the trade-offs and consequences and interest rates and stuff like that. So somebody referred, and I love this stuff. I love finance and economics. So I read it with my oldest daughter, and I think she was about 9 at the time. And so we read it together. It was one of those things at night we were going to bed, and she'd read a page, and I would read a page, and we read this book together. And I said, I gotta teach my kids, like, now, how does this come to the real world? Like, this is great in a concept. So how do we apply this? So I said to my daughter, Dylan, I said, here's what I want to try. I'm going to create something called the Bank of Dad. And so we just learned about these concepts, and I'm going to be the bank. I mean, I already am the bank, to be honest with you, but I'm going to be the bank now in real life. So go get your wallet, and you can invest money and put money with the Bank of Dad. And I think that savings rates were probably less than 1% of the time. And I said, all right,
if that.
Well, what do you think an interest rate should be? And she said 10. was like, wait a minute. Okay. All right. Well, this is not going to be that much money. It was fine. 10%. And I said, well, we need a period of time to look at this interest rate. It's relative to what time? And she goes, I think we should do 10% a month. I was like, whoa, all right. This is getting expensive. This is an expensive lesson pretty quick. Yeah, all my friends I've shared this concept with, they would like to invest in Bank of Dad.
Yeah,
they're all like, where can I put my money in at 10% a month? But for illustrative and learning purposes, I said, no problem. I said, we'll do 10% a month. How much do you want to do? I think she had like $400 from Christmas that she saved and birthdays.
Look at her.
She handed me $400. I was like, man, this is $40 a month. Jeez, okay, all right. She hands me the $400. I said, we'll do it for 1 month, and then Bank of Dad will pay you at the end of 1 month, and you'll have your interest. You've learned now. I've earned money passively by investing my money and getting a return. She said, great. She hands me the money, and I'll never forget this. I said to her, got some bad news for you. She goes, what? I said, the Bank of Dad just collapsed. It just failed. Unfortunately, all your money is gone. And she looks at me and she goes, that's okay, Dad. I took out insurance with Mommy. And I was like,
no, she didn't.
Yes, swear to God. And I was
There's no way.
Yes. I go, man, I've never had a prouder moment in my life.
Oh, I love
the whole concept of the insurance and interest rates and understanding that. At 9, she got it, and she made that joke.
She nailed it right away.
She knew what was going on. I said,
it.
you know what? I said, that's fair enough. The bank hasn't failed. So we did that for a while, and my younger daughter got in. She's like, wait a minute, I can make money out of this. I'll take all my money and put it in. What do I got to lose? I'm making this great money. And so we would talk at the end of the month and say, okay, here's your $400 back plus the $40 in interest. Now, if you were to go get a job, and let's say you were making, just use $20 an hour to keep it simple, you make it, or $10 an hour, keep it simple. You got to go work 4 hours to make this money. Instead, your $400 worked for you. Do you want to go work for labor and make money, trade your time for money, or do you want to make money and then use your money to make more money? That simple concept. So that was the initiation in the beginning of Bank of Dad. Over time, I started to make it a little more challenging because, there's no benefit in saying there's nothing that can't fail for the kids. So then what we did is I layered on top of it. I said, well, we got to teach you about losing a little bit, right? So what we did is said, hey, my wife and I did this. You know what? You've got to actually go ahead and put the money in. At the end of the month, I'm going to go ahead and flip a coin. You're going to call it heads or tails. If you get it correct, you get 10% return. If you get it wrong, you lose 5%.
Love it.
I need her to bring the risk into the conversation so that they could understand, do I want to make this investment or not? Because there's no other than T-bills and the government, there's no risk-free investments. So I wanted them to understand, like, sometimes those investments won't work. And then can I think about this and say, well, is this still a good idea? Knowing that I've got a 50-50 chance of getting 10% positive, and I got a 50-50 chance of losing the 5%.
Did they come with like a two-headed coin?
They haven't tricked me yet with that. I'm surprised they haven't pulled something like that. But we've tried it, and they lost, and they don't love it, and they don't like losing. That's for sure. They definitely don't like losing.
That's where you learn.
That's where you learn. And so then that leads into other conversations around how can we apply this in our lives. So we talk about risk and reward, but the Bank of Dad is a really clear example of how to think about for your kids to teach them a concept, which is, what am I going to get for return? Take this risk, and then what could I lose? Like, what's my worst case scenario? What's my best case scenario? And then should I still take that investment and take the chance to do it? And then you can understand that. It's been a really, really easy way. And obviously you can start with a small amount of money. You do 10% still, but they put in $10.
Yeah.
And now they've got $11 at the end of the month. It costs you $1, but it sparks that conversation. And they don't have to be very old to do this. I've shared this with a few friends, and I saw a woman maybe a year ago or so at a conference. And she said, hey, by the way, still doing Bank of Dad. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you talked about it at the mastermind like 3 years prior. And they were doing Bank of Dad with their kids to teach the kids this lesson. So this is one that I absolutely love. I think everybody should try it if they have kids. I mean, shoot, there's probably a lot of adults that should read How an Economy Grows and How It Crashes, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a great book to learn. It's illustrated. It's a very there's a very small barrier to entry. You don't have to be an expert in finance or econ. Anybody can start reading it and learn. I'd highly recommend that book for everybody, adults included. And then obviously with your kids, I would do that.
I love that. And so this reminded me of my childhood. And my dad, I wish he would have taken some of your notes, because what he did was he did a shoebox. He's like, I'm going to put $2 a day in, you put 50 cents a day. I lasted, by the way, about 30 days, and then I was out. That's the type of person I was. But there was no interest in it for me. It was just a savings thing.
Sure.
Come to find out, he still did it all the way to today. Like he still does it. He opened up IRAs and all this for him and his wife. And I was just like, my mom, and I was just like, good on you. But that's the kind of guy. He's very frugal and very disciplined in that sense. I was the opposite. So, but I wish I would have had maybe a little more incentive, like where you're going with it, but like a little the games, right?
Yeah,
gamify it a little bit. So
yeah,
cool.
I mean, we've gone a little further than this. This was just the beginning of it with the kids. I mean, my kids work for the business.
Okay.
They do some modeling, photography, and do some work.
Child labor?
No, they work only during appropriate hours and all OSHA-approved exercises, and so they work for the company and they get paid a salary, and then with that salary, they contribute to a Roth IRA. So both of my daughters have fully funded Roth IRAs for the past few years. So they're learning real world. They have money in a Roth IRA that we put into investments. So we've had the conversations around mutual funds and stocks and bonds and earning money. So then they keep track. And again, I know I nerd out on this stuff a little bit because I love this stuff. I like the finance side of it, but they have Excel spreadsheets that tracks their net worth. They only have 3 places. They have money in their savings account, they have money in their wallet, and they have money in a Roth IRA.
How old are they?
14 and 12.
14. The only 14, 12-year-olds that I know of, they're like, here's my spreadsheet. Here's my net worth.
Yeah. Yeah, they keep track of their net worth. They're like, Dad, we crossed another threshold.
That is cool.
So they learn, teaching them this. I mean, obviously, nobody's going to learn to teach us in school. You don't learn any of this stuff. I didn't learn anything in school about any of this stuff. Yeah. So if I could teach them the real world and how to make money, how to spend money, how to think about money, and think about money as a tool to create a better life for yourself. That's the whole goal of this, and share what I've learned with them, and then they can learn, and then hopefully they can share. I mean, I don't know many other kids that have, well, first of all, that have Roth IRAs. That don't have any, right? And I have a few friends now that have their kids on Roth IRAs, and so
they're doing Bank of Dad.
They're doing Bank of Dad. We got the Roth IRAs for the kids. So I think this is just a really important concept and teach a kid. There's a lot of people I know that are very wealthy that one of their fears is what's going to happen with their kids. At some point, they're probably going to give their kids the money if they have decided not to give to charity. How do you teach your kids how to be a steward of the money that you worked, right? The old shirt sleeves in 3 generations. I don't know if you know that one.
No, what is that?
Yeah, so the first generation earns it, the second generation grows it, and the third generation blows it. That's the standard. See many family businesses or legacies that last more than 3 generations.
Okay, real quick, I've never heard that, but I just thought to myself, okay, first generation earns it, right?
Yep.
And then the second one grows it because they saw how much work they had to go into earn it. And then as they grow it, maybe the third generation was a little spoiled, maybe, I don't know, or entitled, and then that's why they blew it. That was my first thought right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I know. I think it's different in every scenario.
Sure, of course.
Like in my situation, I'm the first generation to earn it. My kids will be the grow it part. And I tell my kids all the time, I said, your kids better not be the blow it part.
Right?
I say it all the time. I'm like, listen, I'm earning it. Your job is to grow it, and then don't let them blow it.
Bank a bomb.
Yeah, bank a bomb. You got to teach your kids this so they don't blow it, because they're growing up. I mean, they have a really great life and lifestyle, and we do a lot of fun things. But, when they were real little, I worked at a regular job and made, good money, but we didn't have the same lifestyle we have today. Sure. So they've grown up, and now this has become kind of their bubble that they're in, and they're living this life. But we talk about it, make sure they're aware of it, and they're grateful for what they have. And then if they grow it, then what happens to their kids? Their kids are going to grow up with a totally different, from the day they're born, different lifestyle. Sure. And so I think it's, as much as we talk about it, it's really difficult. I grew up with very little. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to explain that to somebody who hasn't lived through it.
Right.
And sometimes that kind of creates an edge for guys like me, that like you got a little chip on your shoulder and you want to make it on your own.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes that is an advantage. And so I think some kids that grow up with money almost have a disadvantage because they don't really understand the value of money. And we've had a couple guys work for us, and they grew up with money. They don't work that. Some of them don't work that hard.
No, right.
They're just wired to be like, oh, this is easy. Life's easy. I don't want to. Oh, this is work. I don't want to do that.
I mean, if you think about it, like it is. It's just how you grow up, and that's the lessons that they learned, and that's who they are. And unfortunately, it's not all their fault. Most of it's not their fault, right?
Well, and step one is just being aware, right? So we try to make the kids aware of the situation. We give them different experiences. We do things so that they understand, like, that what they're doing with the life we live is not what everybody gets to live. And it's different. So A, be grateful and appreciate what happens. B, how did we get here? What did we have to do to get to this point? And then C, what do you want to do with your life, and what do you want to focus on, and how do you want to think about making money, spending your time,
Are they there
job.
yet? Are they into that sort of?
I think I might have created unemployable people. So to be honest with you, but yeah, I think this is a really key concept that I want people to take action on. So the key is, if you have kids, shoot, if you have friends
Yeah.
that don't know how to manage money, you got that one broke friend. Yeah, broke friend. You got a broke friend that
there you
shows up
go.
with
I
no
like
money
that.
all the
I like
time.
that. Okay.
Maybe run a little bank of dad with your friend to do that.
Bank of friend.
Bank of friend. I think that what you want to do is just try it now. If you've got kids, buy the book. Read the book with your kids. Number one, how an economy grows and how it crashes.
Okay.
I think it's Peter Schiff. We'll put it in the show notes.
Got it.
But I think that you want to take action. Get the book today. Order on Amazon. Start reading with your kids. It'd be good for you, probably, and for your kids. And then just create something like this, or keep it simple. Just do it. Talk to your kids. If they're over 6 years old, hey, you've got $10. At the end of 1 month, I'm going to give you $10. I'm going to give you $11 back. Even make it simpler. Give me $10 today. I'll give you $11 tomorrow. How does that feel? And try to explain the concept of it. And I think get that deeper understanding for the kids is really, really valuable. Your kids will appreciate it at the end. So anyway, this is one of those I love. I'm passionate about the finance stuff, especially the kids. So hopefully this adds value for some people. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Please leave me comments, questions, anything we can help with. And as always, stay curious and become the one. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with friends. Visit I'mTheOne.com and ask me anything. And as always, stay curious and never stop becoming the one.